Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Fixing Up the Commonwealth, and we have a brand new build, brand new settlement for you today. And we are here at GreyGardens and we're going to do something a little bit different today. I just want to acknowledge a number of my lovely community people from Discord who give me lots and lots of suggestions about where we could build next, and let me tell you, all your suggestions have been noted and will feature in Fixing Up the Commonwealth for future episodes. So thanks to Vault Girl, Plasman, Lady Ha, Chaos and Fola, Ice, Stella and Jazz. Thanks for your suggestions. They've all been noted down. They are in the kind of memory bank for Fixing Up the Commonwealth, and we'll get to those in a bit. So I was very inspired by Chaos and Fallout's suggestion where he said, I think you need a challenge gaming for XP. I think we need something big from you. So you should build at GreyGardens or Finch Farm bottom up. And then I still said, no, surely it has to be top down. Well, I'm going to go with iStyle. We're going to build from top downwards. And I'd like to also acknowledge that this idea is not my idea. This idea is one that I saw Japik Odeth do about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. And it just so happened I was talking to Japik recently and it sparked an interesting idea, plus what you had suggested for new builds for Fixing Up the Commonwealth. So acknowledgements to all those people. Thank you so much for making a contribution in the suggestion box, and hopefully you're not going to be disappointed. So here we are at GreyGarden. We're starting on the overpass and we are actually going to build down now. In today's video, you're going to see me kind of trying to figure out a whole lot of stuff. So we'll only get so far in this build, and we will not be doing a tour today. We will have to do, you'll see how we go. But this is a good learning curve for everybody that's interested in building in Fallout 4. And if you want to attempt this kind of build, it'll give you some idea. Maybe what kind of thought process you have to go through. I've got to tell you, this really did challenge me a lot in the initial part of this build. One of the big challenges was to get low enough to be able to build under the overpass here. And so I've started off with a fire escape, and I have to work my way down till I get to a level where I can start building. So that's what we're doing first. And yeah, it takes a bit of figuring out, let me tell you. Also, for those of you who don't know, in real life I am scared of heights. I'm genuinely scared of heights, and I got to tell you, this first part of the build made me a little bit queasy. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, and the chances of falling off this build are very real, and I will fall off a number of times, but not as many times in this first part as you might think. So what I'm doing here is I've got to build my way down another level to get under the overpass so that I can start building. Now, this is not something I have done in the past at all. I have never built under or on an overpass, strangely enough. I know a lot of people have. I'm going to try and do this a little bit different, as you can see, which is, you know, I like to try and challenge myself, and I'd encourage you guys to do the same. Now, this is not snapping. I have no idea why it's not snapping, but it's not snapping. So what I do to fix it is I change the type of floor that I'm using. So I'll go back to these single ones. For the unusually, it will not snap to this double one. See, it's just not going to snap. So this is one way you can get around it, by grabbing this floor and then seeing if that happens, that works, and watch what happens. Nothing happens. I will get there eventually. There you go. So it was something to do with that point. That second point, it wouldn't snap for some reason. It's just really strange. But so you can see we're down on the second level, and this is where we will build. I needed enough height. Now you can see how cautious I'm being. But like I said, yeah, it's really, I am petrified of heights, and this didn't do my my fear any good. So you need to leave enough room to get down underneath there too. Now, I initially tried these short ladders thinking I only need a little bit to get under there, but it actually doesn't work. Now these railings are a knob, and so I'm going to move forward a little bit because I'm going to snap these on. It's just going to take forever, so we'll come back in a sec. So here we go, we've also had a bit of a sleep. Here we go, back into the menu. Now the build area is quite generous here, and there's quite a bit of height here. I'm only on the first level of the overpass. There is a second level, and I did look at building maybe on the second level, but boy oh boy, for what I've done so far, this is going to be a fair size settlement. So I decided not to do that. Now these things can be a bit of a pain to snap, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to put that in there. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes they're special. Make sure that that's anti-shimmered, and now we're going to look for the railings for these ladders, not those ones, all the way to the end. Yep. So this is these fire escapes, if you don't know, is from the master plan: stairs, ladders, and ramps, and they're great. I've used them in quite a few builds if you've watched the series in the past, and this is all about safety, people. My safety, so I minimize the amount of time I'm going to fall off, because I could just tell I was going to fall off. So I've put a short ladder in there. I'll actually get rid of that ladder, so I'm just trying to ease in, because I don't think I can get underneath here, or it just wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. So this is, and you're going to get some weird angles, by the way, too. There you go. So for some reason it will not snap there. Tried a couple of things, will not snap, and it looks like it's angled. It's actually not. It's square. So I'm like, okay, that's not good. And now I'm hanging off the end. Can you tell? It's like, whoa, there we go. There's the first fall off of many. So now I realise that for me to get back onto the overpass, actually we have to go out of the boundary and back up. So I'll put a set of ladders up there so I can get back up in a sec. But this is all experimental stuff, and I end up having to go with the long ladders, which we'll get to in a sec. So I'm just cutting a little bit more out, because he didn't miss anything. I'm just changing what ladders I'm going to put in here, and you can see off to your left there, that's the ladders for the warehouse that I've put in, so I could get back up here with that going outside the boundary. So yeah, I've realised now that those short ladders are not going to cut it, so we're going to just snap these long ladders in here, and we'll do the same again. We'll drop a whole lot of floors down. Now I do drop a whole lot of floors down in a sec once we get this this fire escape done. They don't remain here, but obviously I've got to have a solid platform to work on, so we're just going to drop a whole lot of wooden floors down as we're working things out. And this very much was flying by the seat of our pants and trying to work lots and lots of stuff out on the run. And what I was looking at there was to try and figure out how far a boundary and how wide I can go and how long I can go. Now, when I first started this build, I actually run straight into virtually within a minute, I run into that boundary on the left. It's on the left at the moment. So I know where that roughly is now. So I'm going to drop these floors down like this. I'm just going to put a heap of them along here, just to get an idea what kind of area we can work with. So there you go. That's very much just trying to figure out where we're going, where we're going to build, etc. And then once I've got those in, I'll start to work out a few things. But I will be using those, and we'll get to them in a second. So what I want to do here, and this will be multi-level, there will be multiple levels in this settlement, and so to do multiple levels, what you can do is what I'm doing here. You put a ladder in, and we're just finding our way up. Now, one of the things that I've got to try and figure out very quickly is the height. And what happens here is that ladder, very quickly I'll figure out that ladder is too long, and that it's not going to give us enough height to work with and build something decent. So here we go. I haven't worked on my prefabs before, but the prefabs are great for figuring this kind of stuff out. So I can see very clearly there's no way I'm getting up there and having enough room to build anything. So I have to go with a shorter ladder. There we go, like that. And a lot of this stuff will become obsolete very, very quickly because we actually end up not using it. I mean, what I mean by that is, I mean the materials that are all laid out here. This is purely to try and figure out exactly how or what I'm going to build. And so I'm completely experimenting here. I'm adding bits in. I'm trying to figure out what we're going to use, what direction I'm going to go in, and that's not an easy thing to do. Now, this is the thing that I remember from Japic's build, and like I said, I was talking to Japic a couple of weeks ago about this because it was the first time I met Japic. And I remember this build very distinctly, and it was at GreyGardens as it happens. And this is, I hope I'm right, but this is what he had. You'll see this trick in a minute. Now, I end up not using this here, but I do use it later. So I end up getting rid of what I'm about to show you, but I thought it was such a cool look that I'm going to leave it in for now. So you're going, what are you doing with power connectors? You're connecting power up. Well, I'm not actually connecting power up. You'll see what this does in a sec. So get your power connectors. Obviously there's only a certain place where that's going to go at this point. I don't know why. Put that one on top of there, like that, and then connect them up. Put another one at the other end. Now, it's a weird sensation building like this, because you don't know how far you've got before you fall off, so you're always kind of a bit conscious of that. So we'll step back and you'll see what the kind of effect is. So that makes it look as though that's what's anchoring that building to the overpass. Pretty cool. And when I first saw that with Japic, I thought it was absolutely genius. So kudos to him for that. I really do like that, mate. Really great idea. And certainly if you haven't seen Japic's channel, Japic O'Death, go and check out his channel, be part of his community. He was doing a live stream the other week, and he was showing us some of his old builds, and it was quite amazing what he was able to do with that mods, because he's on PlayStation 4, and it was, you know, some of the builds were done before the mods were made available for that platform. Here we go. Really, really cool idea. So we're sort of starting to get the feel of where we want to go with this. And you'll see this area just starts to emerge as we go through the builds. And I must admit, when I was doing this particular, on the day I started this build, my inspiration levels were pretty low. So I wasn't really, and it's one of the few times when I start building that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with this. So sometimes when you get to that point, it's just start building. So I'm going to use these floors a lot. These shack bridge floors, we're going to use them a heck of a lot. Like that. And this area will change is how we use it and how it's going to all flow and blah blah blah. But again, like I said, this is really just trying to get a rough guide in and see how it's all going to kind of function. because I want the buildings up here to look as though they're floating, and most of them are going to be anchored to the overpass to start with, and we'll work on the structural integrity of these buildings as we go through, but I also want it to kind of just to look cool. So all you engineers out there, I'm sure I'm going to get comments about, oh, you couldn't possibly do that, blah blah blah, but yeah, this is a game, and yeah, if it looks cool and I like it, I'm going to make it do something that maybe in real life you couldn't do. So here we go, we'll just keep chugging away here, trying to get everything kind of buttoned down and kind of get the starting bones. I thought it was important kind of leave this all in, just to kind of show you the thought process that I go through. I don't know why we've stopped. Come on, Mr. Builder. It's not your coffee break just quite yet. I've got a lot to do here, and it's funny, this is one of the, I have got a fair way through this already, and it's one of these settlements. Sometimes when you're building in settlements, it takes forever to kind of get started, and at times, you know, there's parts that you just don't flow. This settlement here is just, apart from the first one that I did, it just started to work and flow straight away, which is not unusual, but it's not something that always happens. Like I said earlier, this the start of this settlement took a while to get going, especially this episode you're watching now. But once I got going, there was a number of ideas just started to come one after the other. This is going to be very loosely based on a settlement in Fallout 76, Helvetia or Helvetia or Volgero. I know you told me how to pronounce it, but I forgot already, so don't hate me. That one where the airplane, the plane wreck is, if you played 76, you'll know the one I mean, just above the Helvetia or Helvetia or Rivita or whatever the heck it's called. There we go. Naughty. I put just about, see that? I just about to put that in. Come on. See, this is the stuff that takes you forever. Look how long it's taken me just to place a step in. There you go. And what I did there is I left that there so it had nowhere to go. Now these floors here I'm not going to need. These ones I'm standing on now, they're purely in there just to trying to work out what I'm going to do, and also so I don't fall off as often. And I do fall off this one a lot. There we go. So now I'm trying. One of the things I do, and you would have do. One of the things I do is, and you would have seen it in the past if you've been here for a while, is I use these prefabs just to get a feel for how everything goes together. This is kind of how I visualize things, and hence why I've got that little area there, and then the one behind me and off to the right. I'm just dropping them in and just seeing where they're going to sit and how they're going to work. Plus I'm trying to figure out what height I've got available to me to build here. So it's very important that you kind of use these. Well, this is how I do it at least. But I use these tools just to get me kind of where I need to be. I can always take them out later if I don't like those posts sitting there or whatever, but so you can see I'm just kind of figuring out my way in, and as I go, ideas will start to pop into my head, and I'll start adjusting, and that's exactly what happens here. I go, okay, why would I put a floor in there? Why wouldn't I use one of these like this? And you know, the one thing you want to do with with a settlement like this is you want to have a view, or as many points of a view as possible. And there's no point in building up high if you can't see out the window, I guess. At least that's my opinion. So I want these to look, in Helena's words, scrapalicious, but also I'm going to vary up. We're not going to go like we did at County Crossing all wood. We are going to vary this up a fair bit and add pops of colour in and stuff like that. I think the hardest thing for me is to try and figure out what I want to be underneath, what I'm going to build up above as well, and figuring out what different buildings would be underneath and what would be up top, and trying to blend that as much as possible. Now, I can tell you that it does come together really nicely as far as ideas and types of buildings that you're going to see, and you'll see that in the next episode. Pretty quickly I start to flow and ideas start to come. So I'm using, this is vanilla extensions, and again I'm varying the look of these up. It's hard to do these. I mean, I've done so many builds now, and it's always hard to kind of continue to vary these buildings and look for a new look. But I'm going to do my best here. I've got a couple of unique looking buildings. Now, remember the trick to get the little divider in the middle? Well, I didn't do it there, did I? Okay, where are we going now? So that's all looking okay. It's not too bad, and we're getting close. We're not going to do any tours today. I'll have a look at this, and it kind of bothers me about how that is secured to the roof. It's not as substantial as I'd like, so I changed this up. So I end up using these support beams like that. Now it does cause me a problem later on, but I do end up, I can show you, but I end up getting a shorter beam because those poke up through the floor. Now I'm going to go upstairs and have a look to see if that's poking up through the floor. The problem is I've kind of lost the, I kind of don't quite have the depth that I can see them there. I'm looking for them, but they're actually further along than I anticipated. So I do find them later, and they are poking up through the floor. But it's an easy fix. I just get a shorter post and stick it up there. But I thought using a metal beam like that is probably going to be more substantial, look more substantial for anchoring those to the overpass than those little wires there. Those little wires will be returning though, and we will be using them a fair bit in this build. So need to put one up in there, get rid of that and that. But it's a good idea. That was Japic's idea with those conduits, or those connectors, and I think it's a great idea. I like it a lot, and it's sort of, I want to, at least as much as possible, do this with some of these buildings, and make sure they do look secure. So it sells the kind of overall look of this thing is attached to the overpass, and it is secure, at least at the top, and then we can build off of that. I'm going to put some walls in now into here to kind of give it a look. And again, I'm leaving a lot of this in. It might not be totally interesting. You've probably seen a lot of it before, but I think it's important. I know a lot of you like to see kind of where I go with the building process, the thought process that I go into when I'm deciding on what I'm going to put there. I'm going to put a number of different walls in here. I want to vary the look of this particular building up, and I'm going to do that a lot during this settlement build, where we've got, if you look to our left, that building's all wood, this one's all metal, pops of colour. And we're back to the pops of colour, and if you've watched the channel for a while, you know I love my pops of colour. Again, varying up where the door sits is also important. I don't know why this is not snapping. I think it snaps in the middle or something. There we go, like that. Again, just pull it across. See, I can't get it to sit, so what you can do is put the other side of that wall in and then snap it to there. Because for some reason the other part of the wall snaps in perfectly like that. No idea what was going on there, but I just push that across and it should snap. Weirdly, there was some snapping issues, and there's some weird spots in this build at some point where it just won't snap. It's kind of weird. You saw it with the fire escape before. So I'll put I'll put that piece in, and then I realise I don't have any end caps for that, and I've never understood that. Never understood why they didn't give us end caps for that particular piece. But anyway, try these. Yeah, that's sort of not happening. So I go back to my original, and I remember that the round one, not that one, not that one, not that one. Yeah, see, I told you. Here we go. Maybe not that one, that one. Remember, the round one has some inlays that we can use, so I'm going to snap that in eventually. There we go. And then you can see the end caps. There we go. And this should just snap straight on, actually. There you go. You can see it's, come on, there we go. Thank you. Snap, snap. I saw you snap in. Come on. Here we go. So again, as you do with different textures and different building materials, also you use different shapes. So you know, that round shape just breaks that kind of boxy look of that little house or dwelling or whatever it's going to be. And that's the other thing at this point. I'm not sure what these buildings are going to be. I really haven't planned this out to that degree about what those buildings are going to be. Here what I'm doing is I'm just kind of thinking about how far I can extend this and what I can build and what kind of heights I can build at and all that kind of stuff. So what I decide to do is I decide to anchor, so I can get a floor down below. I'm going to anchor this building here, the above building. Put that back in a minute. There you go. Snap. Thank you. I'm going to anchor this building above to the one below. So this is one way you can do it. You can just drop these in, and I'm just going to drop a whole lot of these down. So I've got them, and then I'm going to have to build a little floor that goes down underneath, and then start snapping floors on. This is the last thing I'm going to show you, is how I actually do this. So I'm building myself, get rid of that, some floors. I'm gonna snap these if I can actually see that. Yeah, okay, that's a bit special. And you can see how tentative I'm kind of easing my way down here, because I know I'm going to fall off. It's, you know, this is not, yeah, I'm like, oh goodness. Yeah, okay, I'm going to have to put that there, and then so I can see it, and then I'll ease it down, and eventually it'll snap. There we go, like that. And so these are going to be the support beams for, and we're going to build something underneath here eventually. You're not going to see it today, but we will come back and show you what the total build under here next week. So there you go. So I'm quickly going to show you where we end up here. So you can see we've got all those pillars snapped in, we've got a floor snapped in, and we're going to probably go and sleep now or do something. But come back next week and I'll show you how this starts to evolve, and how we start to really get some buildings and defining as a fall off. So thanks for joining us on the first episode of the GreyGardens build. We will catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya.